Let's read third marking period. This can be found on page 92 of your speak book if you have yours open, or you can just look on the screen here. Death of the wombat. The wombat is dead. No assembly, no vote. Principal made the announcement this morning. He said hornets better represent the Merryweather spirit than foreign marsupials. Plus, the wombat mascot costume is going to suck money from the prom committee's budget. We are the Hornets, and that is final. The seniors support this decision totally. They wouldn't be able to hold their heads up if the prom had got moved from the Holiday Inn ballroom to the gym. That would be so elementary school. Our cheerleaders are working on annoying chants that end with a lot of buzzing. I think this is a mistake. I have visions of opposing teams making enormous fly swatters and giant cans of insecticide out of paper mache to humiliate us during halftime programs. I'm allergic to hornets. One sting and my skin bubbles up with hives and my throat closes up. Cold weather and buses. I missed the bus because I couldn't believe how dark it was when my alarm clock went off. I need a clock that will turn on a 300-watt bulb when it's time to get up. Either that or a rooster. When I realize how late it is, I decide not to rush. Why bother? Mom comes downstairs and I'm reading the Funnies and eating oatmeal. Mom, you missed the bus again. I nod. Mom, you expect me to drive you again. Another nod. Mom, you'll need boots. It's a long walk and it snowed last night. I'm already late. This is unexpected but not harsh. The walk isn't that bad. It's not like she made me hike 10 miles through the snowstorm uphill in both directions or anything. The streets are quiet and pretty. The snow covers yesterday's slush and settles on rooftops like powdered sugar on gingerbread town. By the time I get to Fayette's, the town's bakery, I'm hungry again. Fayette's makes wicked good jelly donuts, and I have lunch money in my pocket. I decide to buy 2 donuts and call it brunch. I cross the parking lot and it comes out of the door, Andy Evans, with raspberry dripping jelly donut in one hand and a cup of coffee in the other. I stop in a frozen puddle. Maybe he won't notice me if I stand still. That's how rabbits survive. They freeze in the presence of predators. He sets the coffee on the top of his car and fumbles in his pocket for the keys. Very, very adult, this coffee, car keys, cut school guy. He drops the keys and swears. He isn't going to notice me. I'm not here. He can't see me standing here in my purple marshmallow jacket. But of course, my luck with this guy sucks. So he turns his head and he sees me, and Wolf smiles, showing, "Oh, Granny, what big teeth you have." He steps toward me, holding out a donut. "Want a bite?" he asks. Bunny Rabbit bolts, leaving fast tracks in the snow. Get away, get away, get away. Why didn't I run like this before when I was a one-piece talking girl? Running makes me feel like I'm 11 years old and fast. I burn a strip in the sidewalk, melting snow and ice 3 feet on either side. When I stop, a brand new thought explodes in my head. Why go to school? Escape. The first hour of blowing off school is great. No one to tell me what to do, what to read, what to say. It's like having an MTV video, not with the stupid costumes, but wearing that butt-strutting, I do what I want attitude. I wander down Main Street, the beauty parlor, 7-Eleven, the bank, card store. The rotating bank sign says it's 22 degrees. I wander up the other side, appliance store, hardware store, parking lot, grocery store. My insides are cold from breathing in frozen air, and I can feel the hairs on my nose crackle. My strut slows to a foot-dragging schlump, and I even think about trudging uphill to school. At least it's heated. I bet kids in Arizona enjoy playing hooky more than kids trapped in central New York. No slush, no yellow snow. I'm saved by a Centro bus. It coughs and rumbles and spits out 2 old women in front of the grocery store. I climb on. Destination, the mall. You never think about the mall being closed. It's always supposed to be there, like milk in the refrigerator, or God. But it's just opening when I get off the bus. Store managers juggle key rings and extra large coffees. And then the Cage flies up in the air. Lights wink on and the fountains jump. Music plays behind giant ferns and the mall is open. White-haired grandmas and grandpops power walk, squeak, squeak, going so fast they don't even look at the window displays. I hunt spring fashions. Nothing that fit last year fits me now. How can I shop with Mom if I don't even want to talk to her? She might love it, no arguing that way, but then I'd have to wear the clothes she picked out. Conundrum, a 3-point vocab word. I sit by the central elevator where they set up Santa's workshop after Halloween. The air smells like French fries and floor cleaner. The sun through the skylight is summer hot and I shed layers. Jacket, hat, mittens, sweater. I lose 7 pounds in half a minute. I feel like I could float up alongside the elevator. Tiny brown birds sing above me. No one knows how they got in, but they live in the mall and they sing pretty. I lie on the bench and watch the birds weave through the warm air until the sun burns so bright I'm afraid it'll make holes in my eyeballs. I should probably tell someone. Just tell someone, get it over with, let it out, blurt it out. I want to be in 5th grade again. Now that is a deep, dark secret, almost as big as the other one. 5th grade was easy, old enough to play outside without Mom, too young to go off the block, the perfect leash length. A rent-a-cop strolls by. He studies the wax women in the Sears window and then strolls back the other way. When he doesn't even bother with a fake smile or an, "Are you lost?" I'm not in 5th grade. He starts back for a third pass, his finger on the radio. Will he turn me in? Time to find that bus stop. I spend the rest of the day waiting for it to be 2:48, so it's not all that different from school. I figure I learned a good lesson and set my alarm clock early the next day. I wake up on time for 4 days in a row. Get on the bus 4 days in a row, ride home after school. I want to scream. I think I'll need to take a day off every once in a while. Code breaking. Hairwoman has been buying new earrings. One pair hangs all the way down to her shoulders. Another has bells in them like the pair Heather gave me for Christmas. I guess I can't wear mine anymore. There should be a law. It's Nathaniel Hawthorne month in English. Poor Nathaniel. Does he know what they've done to him? We are reading the Scarlet Letter, one sentence at a time, tearing it up and chewing on its bones. It's all about symbolism. By the way, before we read any further, Scarlet Letter, I think they did a remake at one point called Easy A. I could be wrong. But Scarlet Letter essentially is about a woman back in the Puritan times. And she ends up having an affair. Her husband, I think, goes to sea. Like he's a sailor or something, if I remember right. And doesn't come back, so they don't know if he's dead or not. And she ends up having an affair with the town pastor or priest or whatever. And so they find out, the town finds out, and they make her wear this large A that's supposed to stand for adultery. It's supposed to shame her. But the woman, I think her name is Hester or something like that. It's a really pretty name. She takes that A and she makes it like this really beautiful A of all kinds of, like scarlet as the title implies. And I think to try to tell the townspeople to screw off or show their hypocrisy or whatever. But anyway, just so you know, that's might be help with your assignment this week. Anyway, the Scarlet Letter. So English teachers doing what we're doing. It's all about symbolism. So it's all about symbolism, says Hairwoman. Every word chosen by Nathaniel, every comma, every paragraph break, these were all done on purpose. To get a decent grade in her class, we have to figure out what he was really trying to say. Why couldn't he just said what he meant? Would they pin scarlet letters on his chest? B for blunt, S for straightforward? I can't whine too much. Some of it's fun. It's like a code, breaking into his head and finding the keys to his secrets. Like the whole thing, the whole guilt thing. Of course, you know, the minister feels guilty and Hester feels guilty. But Nathaniel wants us to know that this is a big deal. If he kept repeating, she felt guilty, she felt guilty, she felt guilty, it would be a boring book and no one would buy it. So he planted symbols, like the weather and the whole light-dark thing to show how poor Hester feels. I wonder if Hester tried to say no. She's kind of quiet. We would get along. I can see us living in the woods, her wearing that A, me for an S maybe, S for silent, S for stupid, for scared, S for silly, for shame. So the code-breaking part was fun for the first lesson, but a little of it goes a long way, and Hairwoman is hammering it to death. Hairwoman. The description of the house with the bits of glass embedded in the walls, what does it mean? Utter silence from the class. I'm laughing because that happens to me. A fly left over from fall buzzes against the cold window. A locker slams in the hall. Hairwoman answers her own question. Think of what it would look like, a wall with glass embedded in it. It would reflect, sparkle, shine on sunny days, maybe. Come on, people. I shouldn't have to do this by myself. Glass in the wall. We use that on top of prison walls nowadays. Hairwoman is showing us that Hawthorne, is showing us that the house is a prison or a dangerous place, maybe. It's hurtful. Now, I asked you to find some examples of use of color. Who can list a few pages where color is described? The fly buzzes a farewell buzz and dies. Rachel Rochelle, my ex-best friend. Who cares what the color means? How do you know what he meant to say? I mean, did he leave another book called Symbolism in my book? If he didn't, then you could just be making all this up. Does anyone really think that this guy sat down and stuck all kinds of hidden meanings into his story? It's just a story. Hairwoman, this is Hawthorne, one of the greatest American novelists. He didn't do anything by accident. He was a genius. Rachel Rochelle, I thought we were supposed to have an opinion here, and my opinion is that it's kind of hard to read, but the part about Hester getting in trouble and the preacher guy almost gets away with it, well, that's a pretty good story, but I think you're making all this symbolism stuff up. I don't believe any of it. Hairwoman, do you tell your math teacher that you don't believe that 3 times 4 equals 12? Well, Hawthorne's symbolism is just like multiplication. Once you figure it out, it's as clear as day. The bell rings. Hairwoman blocks the door to give out our assignment. A 500-word essay on symbolism. How to find hidden meanings in Hawthorne. The whole class yells at Rachel Rochelle in the hall. That's what you get for speaking up. Stunted. Mr. Freeman has found a way around the authorities again. He paints the names of all his students on one wall of the classroom and then made a column for each week of school. Each week he evaluates our progress and makes a note on the wall. He calls it a necessary compromise. Next to my name, he painted a question mark. My tree is frozen. A kindergartner could carve a better tree. I've stopped counting the linoleum blocks I've ruined. Mr. Freeman has reserved the rest of them for me. Good thing, too, I'm dying to try a different subject. Something easy like designing an entire city or copying the Mona Lisa, but he won't budge. He suggested I try a different medium, so I used purple finger paints. The paint cooled my hands, but did nothing for my tree, or trees. On a shelf, I find a book of landscapes filled with illustrations of every stinking tree that grows. Sycamore, linden, aspen, willow, fir, tulip, poplar, chestnut, elm, spruce, pine. Their bark, flowers, limbs, needles, nuts. I feel like a regular forester, but I can't do what I'm supposed to do. The last time Mr. Freeman had anything good to say about me was when I made that stupid turkey bone thing.
Are you on class?
I'm recording, reading, yes. Did you need me, or?
I'll talk to you.
Okay. Sorry about that, class. The last time Mr. Freeman had anything good to say to me was when I made that stupid turkey bone thing. Mr. Freeman is having his own problems. He mostly sits on his stool and stares at his new canvas. It is painted one color, so blue it's almost black. No light comes out of it or goes in, so the shadows are without light. Ivy asks him what it is, and Mr. Freeman snaps out of his funk and looks at her like he just realized the room was full of students. Mr. Freeman, it's Venice at night. the color of an accountant's soul, a love rejected. I grew mold on an orange this color when I lived in Boston. It's the blood of imbeciles, confusion, tenure, the inside of a lock, the taste of iron, despair, a city with the streetlights shot out, smoker's lung, the hair of a small girl who grows up hopeless, the heart of a school board director. He's warming up for a full-fledged rant when the bell rings. Some teachers rumor whisper he's having a breakdown. I think he's the sanest person I know. Lunch doom. Nothing good ever happens at lunch. The cafeteria is a giant soundstage where they film daily segments of teenage humiliation rituals, and it smells gross. I sit by Heather as usual, but we are off by ourselves in a corner by the courtyard, not near the Marthas. Heather sits so her back is to the rest of the cafeteria. She can watch the wind shift and the drifts of snow trapped in the courtyard behind me. I can feel the wind seep through the glass and penetrate my shirt. I am not listening too closely as Heather hems her way to what is on her mind. The noise of 400 mouths moving, consuming, pulls me away from her. The background pulsing of the dishwasher, the squeal of announcements that no one hears. It is a vestibuary, the hornet heaven. I am small, crouched by the entrance with the winter wind at my back. I smother my green beans with mashed potatoes. Heather nibbles her jicama and whole grain roll and blows me off while eating her carrots. Heather, this is really awkward. I mean, how do you say something like this? No matter what, no, I don't want to say that. I mean, we kind of paired up at the beginning of the year when I was new and I didn't know anyone, and that was really, really sweet of you. But I think it's time for us to both admit that we are just very different. She studies her no-fat yogurt. I try to think of something bitchy, something wicked and cruel, but I can't. Me, you mean we're not friends anymore? Heather, smiling with her mouth but not her eyes. We were never really, really friends, were we? I mean, it's not like I ever slept over at your house or anything. We like to do different things. I have my modeling and I like to shop. I like to shop. Heather, you don't like anything. You are the most depressed person I ever met, and excuse me for saying this, but you are no fun to be around, and I think you need professional help. Up until this very instant, I had never seriously thought of Heather as my one true friend in the world, but now I'm desperate to be her pal, her buddy, to giggle with her, to gossip with her. I want her to paint my toenails. Me. I was the only person who talked to you on the first day of school, and now you're blowing me off because I'm a little depressed? Isn't that what friends are for? To help each other out of bad times? Heather, I knew you would take this the wrong way. You're just so weird sometimes. I squint at the wall of hearts on the other side of the room. Lovers can spend $5 to get a red or pink heart with their initials on it mounted on the wall for Valentine's Day. It looks so out of place, those red splotches on blue. The jocks, student athletes, sit in front of the hearts to judge the new romances. Poor Heather. There are no Hallmark cards for breaking up with friends. I know what she's thinking. She has a choice. She can hang out with me and get the reputation of being a creepy weirdo who might show up with a gun someday. Or she can be a Martha, one of the girls who gets good grades, do nice things, and ski well. Which would I choose? Heather, when you get through this life sucks phase, I'm sure a lot of people want to be your friend, but you just can't cut classes and not show up to school. What's next, hanging out with dopers? Me, is this the part where you try to be nice to me? Heather, you have a reputation. Me, for what? Heather, look, you can't eat lunch with me anymore, I'm sorry. Oh, and don't eat those potato chips, they'll make you break out. She neatly wraps her trash into a wax paper ball and deposits it in the garbage can. And then she walks to the Martha table. Her friends scooch down to make room for her. They swallow her whole, and she never looks back at me. Not once. Conjugate this. I cut class, you cut class, he, she, it cuts class, we cut class, they cut class, we all cut class. I cannot say this in Spanish because I did not go to Spanish today. Gracias a Dios, hasta luego. Cutting out hearts. When we get off the bus on Valentine's Day, a girl with white blonde hair bursts into tears. I love you, Angela, is sprayed on a snowbank along the parking lot. I don't know if Angela is crying because she's happy or because her heart's desire can't spell. Her honey is waiting with a red rose, and they kiss right there in front of everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. It caught me by surprise. Valentine's Day was a big, hairy deal in elementary school because you had to give cards to everyone in your class, even the kid who made you step in dog poop. And then the class mom brought in pink frosted cupcakes, and we traded those little candy hearts that said, hot baby and be mine. The holiday went underground in middle school. No parties, no shoeboxes with red cutout hearts for your drugstore Valentines. To tell someone you liked them, you had to use layers and layers of friends, as in, Janet told me to tell you that Stephen told me that Dougie and Karen were talking about April, and she hinted that Sarah's brother Mark has a friend named Tony who might like you. What are you going to do? It is easier to floss with barbed wire than to admit that you like someone in middle school. I go with the flow toward my locker. We are all dressed in down jackets and vests, and so we collide and roll like bumper cars in the state fair. I notice envelopes taped to some of the lockers, but don't really think about it until I find one on mine. It says Melinda. It has to be a joke. Someone put it here to make me look stupid. I peer over my left shoulder and then my right for groups of evil kids pointing at me. All I see are the backs of heads. What if it's real? What if it's from a boy? My heart stops and then stutters and pumps again. No, not Andy. His style is definitely not romantic. Maybe David Petrakis, my lab partner? He watches me when he thinks I can't see him. Afraid I'm going to break lab equipment or faint again. Sometimes he smiles at me, an anxious smile, the kind you use on a dog that might bite. All I have to do is open the envelope. I can't stand it. I walk past my locker and go straight to biology. Miss Keene decided that it would be cute to review the birds and bees in honor of Valentine's Day. Nothing practical, of course. No information about why hormones make you crazy or why your face only breaks out at the worst time, or how to tell if somebody really gave you a Valentine's Day card on your locker. No, she really teaches us about the birds and the bees. Notes of love and betrayal are passed hand over hand as if the lab tables were lanes on Cupid's highway. Miss Keene draws a picture of an egg with a baby chick inside of it. By the way, class, I don't know if you know what that is anymore. That may be way past your time. But back in the day, of course, we had no cell phones, and so texting became this thing where you wrote a note to your little sweetheart or someone you liked maybe, and you would just pass it back and forth and write flirt, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. I used to write a lot of notes in my day, I'll tell you. Long time ago. So it's kind of like texting, only, in my opinion, more fun, because you had to sneak it past teacher. Anyway, let's go back to the book. David Petrakis is fighting to stay awake. Does he like me? I make him nervous. He thinks I'm going to ruin his grade. But maybe I'm growing on him. Do I want him to like me? I chew a thumbnail. No, I don't want anyone to like me. I want a note with a heart on it. I pull the edge of my thumbnail back too far and it bleeds, and I squeeze my thumb so the blood gathers in a perfect sphere before it collapses and slides toward the palm of my hand. David hands me a tissue. I press it into the cut. The white cells of paper dissolve into the red as the red flows into them. It doesn't hurt. Nothing hurts except the small smiles and blushes that flash across the room like tiny sparrows. I open my notebook and write a note to David. Thanks. I slide the notebook over to him. He swallows hard, his Adam's apple bumping in the direction of his neck and back up again. He writes back, "You're welcome." Now what? I squeeze the tissue harder on my thumb to concentrate. Miss Keene's baby bird hatches on the board. I draw a picture of Miss Keene as a robin. David smiles. He draws a branch under her feet and slides the notebook back to me. I try to connect the branch to the tree. It looks pretty good, better than anything else I've drawn so far in art. The bell rings and David's hand brushes against mine as he picks up his books. I bolt from my seat. I'm afraid to look at him. What if he thinks I already opened his card and I hate his guts, which is why I didn't say anything. But I can't say anything because the card could be a joke or from some other silent watcher who blends in with the blur of lockers and doors. My locker. The card's still there, a white patch of hope with my name on it. I tear it off and open it. Something falls to my feet. The card has a picture of two cutesy teddy bears sharing a pot of honey. I open it. Thanks for understanding. You're the sweetest. It's signed with purple pen. Good luck, Heather. I bend down to find what dropped from the card. It was the friendship necklace I had given Heather in a fit of insanity around Christmas. Stupid, stupid, stupid. How stupid could I be? I hear a cracking inside of me. My ribs are collapsing in on my lungs, which is why I can't breathe. I stumble down the hall, down another hall until I find my very own door and slip inside and throw the lock. Not even bothering to turn on the lights, just falling a mile downhill to the bottom of my brown chair where I can sink my teeth into the soft white skin of my wrist and cry like the baby I am. I rock, thumping my head against the cinder block wall. A half-forgotten holiday has unveiled every knife that sticks inside every cut. No Rachel, no Heather, not even a silly, geeky boy would like the inside girl I think I am. Our Lady of the Waiting Room. I find Lady of Mercy Hospital by accident. I fall asleep on the bus and miss the mall completely. The hospital's worth a try. Maybe I can learn some pre-med stuff for David. In a sick kind of way, I love it. There are waiting rooms on almost every floor. I don't want to attract too much attention to myself, so I stay on the move, checking my watch constantly, trying to look as if I have a reason for being here. I'm afraid if I get caught, I'll get caught, but the people around me have other things to worry about. The hospital is the perfect place to be invisible, and the cafeteria food is better than the schools. The worst waiting room is on the heart attack floor. It is crowded with gray-faced women twisting their wedding rings and watching the doors for a familiar doctor. One lady just sobs. She doesn't care that total strangers watch her nose drip or that people can hear her as soon as they get off the elevator. Her cries stop short of screaming. They make me shiver. I snag a couple of copies of People magazine. I'm out of there. The maternity ward is dangerous because people there are happy. They ask me questions. Who am I waiting for? When is the baby due? Is it my mother? A sister? I wanted people to ask me questions, but if I wanted people to ask me questions, I would have gone to school. I say I have to call my father and flee. The cafeteria is so cool. Huge, full of people wearing doctor-nurse clothes with college degree posture and beepers. I always thought hospital people would be real health nuts, but these guys eat junk food like it's going out of style. Big piles of nachos, cheeseburgers as wide as plates, cherry pie, potato chips, all the good stuff. One lone cafeteria worker named Lola stands by the steamed fish and onion tray. I feel bad for her, so I buy the fish platter. I also buy a plate of mashed potatoes and gravy and yogurt. I find a seat next to a table of serious, frowning, silver-haired men who use words so long I'm surprised they don't choke. Very official. Nice to hang around people who sound like they know what they're doing. After lunch, I wander up to the 5th floor, to an adult surgery wing, where waiting family members concentrate on the television. I sit where I can watch the nurses' station, and beyond that, a couple of hospital rooms. It looks like a good place to get sick. The doctors and nurses seem smart, but they smile every once in a while. A laundry room worker pushes an enormous basket of green hospital gowns, the kind that shows your butt if you don't hold it close, to the storage area. I follow him. If anyone asks, I'm looking for the water fountain. No one asks. I pick up a gown. I want to put it on and crawl under the white knobbly blanket and white sheets and one of those high off the ground beds and sleep. It is getting harder to sleep at home. How long would it take for the nurses to figure out I don't belong here? Would they let me rest for a few days? A stretcher pushed by a tall guy with muscles sweeps down the hall. One woman walks beside it, a nurse. I have no idea what is wrong with the patient, but his eyes are closed and a thin line of blood seeps through a bandage on his neck. I put the gown back. There is nothing wrong with me. These are the really sick people, sick that you can see. I head for the elevator. The bus is on its way. Clash of the Titans. We have a meeting with principal. Someone has noticed that I've been absent and that I don't talk, and they figure I'm more of a head case than a criminal, so they call in the guidance counselor too. Mother's mouth twitches with words she doesn't want to say in front of strangers. Dad keeps checking his beeper, hoping someone will call. I sip water from a paper cup. If the cup were lead crystal, I would open my mouth and take a bite, crunch, crunch, swallow. They want me to speak. Why won't you say anything, for the love of God? Open your mouth. This is childish, Melinda. Say something. You're only hurting yourself by refusing to cooperate. I don't know why she's doing this to us. The principal hums loudly and gets in the middle. Principal, we all agree we're here to help. Let's start with these grades. These are not what we expected from you, Melissa. Dad, Melinda. Principal, Melinda. Last year you were a straight B student. No behavior problem, few absences, but reports I'm getting, well, what can we say? Mother, that's the point. She won't say anything. I can't get a word out of her. She's mute. Guidance counselor. I think we need to explore the family dynamics at play here. Mother, she's just jerking us around to get attention. Me, inside my head, would you listen? Would you believe me? Fat chance. Dad, well, something's wrong. What have you done to her? I had a sweet, loving little girl last year, but as soon as she comes here, she clams up, skips school, flushes her grades down the toilet. I golf with the school board president, you know. Mother, we don't care who you know, Jack. We have to get Melinda to talk. Guidance counselor, leaning forward, looking at Mom and Dad. Do the two of you have marriage issues? Mother responds with unladylike language. Father suggests that the guidance counselor visit that hot, scary underground world. The guidance counselor grows quiet. Maybe she understands why I keep it zipped. Principal sits back in his chair and doodles a hornet. Tick, tick, tick. I'm missing study hall for this. Nap time. How many days until graduation? I lost track. Have to find a calendar. Mother and father apologize. They sing a show tune. What are we to do? What are we to do? She's so blue. We're just two. Oh, wait, what are we supposed to do? In my head world, they jump on principal's desk and perform a tap dance routine. A spotlight flashes on them, a chorus line joins in, and the guidance counselor dances around in a spangled cane. I giggle. Zap. Back in their world. Mother, you think this is funny? We are talking about your future, your life, Melinda. Father, I don't know where you picked up the slacker attitude, but you certainly didn't learn it at home. Probably some of the bad influences here. Guidance counselor. Actually, Melinda has some very nice friends. I've seen her helping that group of girls who volunteer so much. Meg Harcutt, Emily Briggs, Siobhan Phelan. Principal stops doodling. Very nice girls. They all come from good families. He looks at me for the first time and tilts his head to one side. Those are your friends? Do they choose to be so dense? Were they born that way? I have no friends. I have nothing. I say nothing. I am nothing. I wonder how long it would take to get a bus ride to Arizona. Miss. Merriweather in-school suspension. This is my consequence. It's in my contract. Is it true what they tell you about not signing anything but without reading it carefully? Even better, pay a lawyer to read it carefully. The guidance counselor dreamed up this contract after our cozy get-together in the principal's office. It lists a million things I'm not supposed to do, and the consequences I'll suffer if I do them. The consequences for minor offenses like late to class or not participating were stupid. They wanted me to write an essay, so I took another day off school and bingo, I earned a trip to Miss. It's a classroom painted white with uncomfortable chairs and a lamp that buzzes like an angry hive. The inmates of Miss are commanded to sit and stare at the empty walls. It is supposed to bore us into submission or prepare us for the insane asylum. Our guard dog today is Mr. Neck. He curls his lips and growls at me. I think this is part of his punishment for that bigoted crap he pulled in class. There are 2 other convicts with me. One has a cross tattooed on his shaved skull. He sits like a granite boy, waiting for a chisel so he can carve himself out of the mountainside. The other kid looks completely normal. His clothes are a little freaky maybe, but that's a misdemeanor around here, not a felony. Mr. Neck gets up to greet the late arrival. A normal-looking kid tells me he likes to start fires. Our last companion is Andy Evans. My breakfast turns to hydrochloric acid. He grins at Mr. Neck and sits down next to me. Mr. Neck, cutting class again, Andy? Andy, beast. No, sir. One of your colleagues thinks I have an authority problem. Can you believe it? Mr. Neck, no more talking. I am bunny rabbit again, hiding in the open. I sit like I have an egg in my mouth. One move, one word, and the egg will shatter and blow up the world. I am getting seriously weird in the head. When Mr. Neck isn't looking, Andy blows in my ear. I want to kill him. Picasso. I can't do anything, not even in art class. Mr. Freeman, a pro at staring out the window himself, thinks he knows what's wrong. Your imagination is paralyzed, he declares. You need to take a trip. Ears perk up all over the classroom. Someone turns down the radio. A trip? Is he planning a field trip? You need to visit the mind of the Great One, continues Mr. Freeman. Papers flutter, and as the class sighs, the radio sings louder again. He pushes my pitiful linoleum block aside and gently sets down an enormous book. Picasso, he whispers like a priest. Picasso, who saw the truth, who painted the truth, molded it, ripped it from the earth with 2 angry hands. He pauses, but I'm getting carried away. I nod. See Picasso, he commands. I can't do everything for you. You must walk alone to find your soul. Blah, blah, yeah. Looking at the pictures would be better than watching snowdrift, so I opened the book. Picasso sure had a thing for naked women. Why not draw them with their clothes on? Who sits around without a shirt on plucking a mandolin? Why not draw naked guys, just to be fair? Naked women is art. Naked guys is a no-no, I bet. Probably because most painters are men. I don't like the first few chapters. Besides all the naked women, he painted them in blue pictures, like he ran out of red and green for a few weeks. He painted circus people and some dancers who look like they are standing in smog. He should have made them cough. The next chapter steals my breath. It takes me out of the room. It confuses me, while one little part of my brain jumps up and down screaming, I get it, cubism. Seeing beyond what is on the surface, moving both eyes and a nose to the side of the face, dicing bodies and tables and guitars as if they were in celery sticks, rearranging them so you have to really see them to see them. Amazing. What did the world look like to him? I wish I could have gone to high school at Merriweather. I bet we could have hung out. I searched the whole book and never see one picture of a tree. Maybe Picasso couldn't do trees either. Why did I get stuck with such a lame idea? I figure a cubist tree with hundreds of skinny rectangles for branches. They look like lockers, boxes, glass shards, lips with triangle brown leaves. I dropped the sketch on Mr. Freeman's desk. Now you're getting somewhere, he says, and he gives me a thumbs up. Riding shotgun. I go to school. I am a good girl. I go to every single class for a week. It feels good to know what the teachers are talking about again. My parents get the news flash from the guidance counselor. They are sure how to react, happy because I'm behaving, or angrier still that they have to be happy about such a minor thing as a kid who goes to class every day. The guidance counselor convinces them I need a reward, a chew toy or something. They settle on new clothes. I'm outgrowing everything I own. But shopping with my mother? Just shoot me and put me out of my misery. Anything but a shopping trip with Mom. She hates shopping with me. At the mall, she stalks ahead, chin high, eyelids twitching because I won't try on the practical, stylish clothes she likes. Mother is a rock. I am an ocean. I have to pout, roll my eyes for hours until she finally wears down and crumbles into 1,000 grains of beach sand. It takes a lot of energy, and I don't think I have it in me. Apparently, Mom isn't up to the Dragon Wine Mall gig either. When they announce I've earned new clothes, they add that I have to get them at efforts. So Mom can use her discount. I'm supposed to take the bus after school and meet her at the store. In a way, I'm glad. Get in, buy, get out, like ripping off a Band-Aid. It seems like a good idea until I'm standing at the bus stop in front of a school as a blizzard rips through the country. The wind chill must be 20 below, and I don't have a hat or mittens. I try to keep my back to the wind, but my rear freezes, and facing it's impossible. The snow blows up under my eyelids and fills my ears. That's why I don't hear the car pull up next to me. When the horn blows, I nearly jump out of my skin. It's Mr. Freeman. Need a ride? Mr. Freeman's car shocks me. It is a blue Volvo, a safe Swedish box. I had him figured for an old VW bus. It is clean. I had visions of art supplies and posters and rotting fruit everywhere. When I get in, classical music plays quietly. Will wonders never cease? He says dropping me off in the city is only a little out of his way. He'd love to meet my mother. My eyes widen in fear. Maybe not. I brush the melting snow from my head and hold my hands in front of the heating vent. He turns it up full blast. As I thaw, I count the mileage markers on the side of the road, keeping an eye out for interesting roadkill. We get a lot of dead deer in the suburbs. Sometimes poor people take the venison for their winter meat, but most of the time the carcasses rot until the skin hangs like ribbons over the bones. We head west towards the big city. You did a good job with that Cubist sketch, he says. I don't know what to say. We pass a dead dog. He doesn't have a collar. I'm seeing a lot of growth in your work. You're learning more than you know. Me. I don't know anything. My trees suck. Mr. Freeman puts on his turn signal, looks in the rearview mirror, pulls into the left lane, and passes a beer truck. Don't be so hard on yourself. Art is about making mistakes and learning from them. He pulls back into the right lane. I watch the beer truck fade into the snowstorm in a side mirror. Part of me thinks maybe he's driving a bit too fast, what with all the snow, but the car is heavy and doesn't slip. The snow that had caked on my socks melts onto my sneakers. Me. All right, but you said we had to put emotion into art, and I don't know what that means. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. My fingers fly up and cover my mouth. What am I doing? Mr. Freeman. Art without emotion is like chocolate cake without sugar. It makes you gag. He sticks his finger in his throat. The next time you work on your trees, don't think about trees. Think about love or hate or joy or rage. Whatever makes you feel something, makes your palms sweat, your toes curl. Focus on that feeling. When people don't express themselves, they die one piece at a time. You'd be shocked at how many adults are really dead inside, walking through their days with no idea who they are. Just waiting for a heart attack or cancer or a Mack truck to come along and finish the job. It's the saddest thing I know. He pulls off the exit and stops at the light at the bottom of the ramp. Something small and furry and dead is crumpled by the storm sewer. I chew off a scab off my thumb. The effort sign blinks in the middle of the block. Over there, I say, you can just drop me in front. We sit for a moment. the snow hiding the other side of the street, a cello solo thumbing from the speakers. Thanks, I say. Don't mention it, he answers. If you ever need to talk, you know where to find me. I unbuckled the seatbelt and opened the door. Melinda, Mr. Freeman says. Snow filters into the car and melts on the dashboard. You're a good kid. I think you have a lot to say, and I'd like to hear it. I closed the door. Let's see how much further we have here. Oh, yeah. Got quite a bit. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll just film the rest of this so you can watch it later.